Hey, welcome back to another Ammunition podcast on the weekly report on the special edition Monday night because Sunday usually we do this, but the Flyers and the Montreal play yesterday, and that's the reason we bring that on the Monday night, talking about the Montreal Canadiens, the weekly report. With usually with Enartap, but tonight we're going to get Marco Larabie. Enartap is on the somewhere. I don't know exactly. I cannot remember about that. We're going to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, of course. What happened is only weekend. I'm going to focusing more. We have front subject, a couple of news about the Montreal Canadiens and the Laval Rocket. And you want to know exactly what is the subject of the night. Is the second line, not really. It's about the Montreal Canadiens with Jake Evans contract extension also. Can Juraj Sakowski be a second line with as a center? We'll talk about that tonight. A perfect weekend, like I mentioned to you, for the Montreal Canadiens. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow night for the play-by-play of the Montreal Canadiens versus the Seattle Kraken and Shane Wright. And then Wednesday night, we do the special play-by-play, the Laval Rocket. They host again the Utica Comet, but very bad news around the Laval Rocket we heard today from the head coach Pascal Vincent. Okay, we're going to talk about this. So let's further ado right away. He is back in the house. Here's the backup plan for the weekly report. He is the co-host of of course, of the notebook. But unfortunately, this week notebook will be a report on the following week. And welcome back from Hawkesbury. Back at home, Mr. Marco Larabie is in the house tonight.
Love being the backup. Love being the backup. Very humbling to be to try to back up Entertap. I will try not to disappoint. I will try to be wise and calm and do my best to not get too excited. Even though, Coach, I know we might get into some brouhaha tonight, but we'll see if we can keep it calm and I'll try to do my best to do my Entertap impression.
But remember, the Hockey Nation is a good team because we have great backup.
Absolutely.
Great team in
Sure.
the NHL have a solid backup number two goalies.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, I don't have like a primo like performance tonight. I'm more like Andre Rasico, but I think he had maybe two or three good games in his career. So hopefully, I can do like a good Andre Rasico kind of do thing.
One Mr. Enartap back up you on the notebook. He's called him Steve Penny.
There you go.
So
Steve Penny, yeah, like he had a meteoric rise. Like he had his time in the sun. That was him. Remember, there's like three goalies. There's him. There's Patrick that came along, but then there was Doug Sotart, I think,
yeah,
too, in
Doug
1988
Sodat,
there.
number one.
Sure. So that was a golden era of Montreal Canadiens
What was the number
mid
of Steve Penny?
34,
37.
37. Yeah.
The Panthers
I
lead
was a
3
little
to 2.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Barkov is back, So
Yeah.
Florida did not miss a beat with Barkov out of the lineup, man. Like they just keep winning, coach. Such a
8
good team.
in NHL tonight. And we have 4 in action. It was a welcome of the Steven Senkos and Tampa Bay. I did not miss it. I was interested to see that. Unfortunately, they're losing 2-0. The player like Senkos make a big impact for different organization in NHL. He did for the Lightning for many, many years. Maybe the best captain, in my opinion, for that team. And it was really a touching moment to do it when he presented the video as during a timeout, and you see John Cooper, Kucherov, and everything. So I just want to
Yeah.
mention that about Steven Stamkos, the Lightning winning 2-0. The Blue Jacket was our top, uppercut, jab, right punch of the Blue Jacket over the Edmonton Oilers. 4-0, Mr. Tap Marco, at the end of the second period. Panthers 3-2 at the end second period. At the Toronto Maple Leafs, after 20-minute lead again the Winnipeg Jets 2-0. This game is on Amazon Prime for everybody who wants to watching this. John Tavares, William Nylander are the scorer about this. We have 4 more games after that. The Blackhawks against Colorado. The Sharks against Utah. Two teams struggling right now for the last couple of weeks now. For Utah, after a good start, they're losing and being 3 or 4 games. Carolina Hurricane against Vancouver. I think this is a game to watch at 10
That's
o'clock
a good one.
tonight. And the Flames versus the Golden Knights. Flames struggling after their good start at the last 3 games for the Flames. So we're going to give you a little bit update on RJ will be in the house tonight. Thanks everybody to be a part of the show. Don't forget please to click on the likes. Quickly, Marco, go to welcome everybody. Chris Henson is in the house from Scotland. Charles is out for Bangkok. Roy. Danny T back in the house. Danny T from
Oh,
Orleans. Welcome back.
wow. Mini T.
The Run with Kings 20, modérateur, maybe talking about the Kings or the Utah. Nicolas de Beaubien-Bonneau, directement de la belle province de Québec, dans la région de Sherbrooke. Il est de retour avec nous ce soir. Welcome back, Mr. Nicolas. Curtis is in the house tonight. Welcome back. Roger Delaney, the big fan, the supporter of the channel. Welcome back. Pierre de Nonville from Arizona is in the house. PLW is back in the house. Welcome. Thanks to be with us. He go with Chef Lee on the great on the Winnipeg Jets tonight. Slick number 14 is in the house tonight. Welcome back, Bob Smith. Welcome back, G. Fed is in the house. Welcome back, and then Pierre Bleu talk about Freddie Freeman, but Rogers keep him talk about Jake Evans, not Marco. And then we have for you back in the house. Glad to see you, my friend. Hopefully, you're doing well. And then we have Claude Richard, the Uniburg, the Ottawa, back in the house tonight. So everybody is in the house, and glad to see you. Of course, going to talk about different things. A special night we're going to do a special request, the headline tonight, Mr. Marco, if you don't mind, we're going to go straight right there and talking about your first headline of the Montreal Canadiens, and then I'm going to follow with mine. So here we go, Mr. Marco. And he said, doing their what?
It's time for homework, coach. Got to do your homework. I know it's not fun. It's like doing your chores, but you got to do it. Martin St. Louis mentioned this a couple times in his press conferences leading up to the game. You know, and again, like if you watch his press conferences in those 3 days off they had after that, you know, terrible, terrible game they had against the Rangers, lots of pressure. Probably the most pressure Martin St. Louis felt since he's been in Montreal, I would say, because of, you know, just the way that they had been playing. And everybody, you know, started talking about what we've been talking about for a year, coach, which is the man-on-man coverage. Like we've been talking about that for a long time, but everybody and their dog, you know, was becoming familiar with the hybrid man-on-man system finally. And so lots of pressure on St. Louis. And, you know, after the game, you could, you know, he was pretty clear, right? Like he was confident that they would pass the test because they did their homework. And you know, like I said, it takes a lot of pressure, you know, at this point to be in this market. And Saint Louis obviously did a great job of, you know, getting everybody together. There was, yes, it was 3 days that they had, but there was also one day where it was where they couldn't practice, right? So it really was 2 days. So great job of Martin Saint Louis and the coaching staff, kind of getting everything together, getting everybody focused. And you know, I think it's clear that, you know, everybody could see that still wasn't perfect, obviously, in the defensive zone, coach, over the weekend, but you could see there was a huge adjustment and a huge progress that was made. So sometimes, you know, like you have to really take advantages of these little lulls in the calendar. So really good timing for the Canadiens having 2 days off, or having 3 days basically from to kind of regroup a little bit. So really good job by Martin St. Louis getting everybody reorganized, and you could see the impact right away. So good job. Like, you know, it's one thing to have the coaches put together a plan and get everybody to focus, but the players have to go out and execute as well too. So, you know, 2 games makes a big difference, right? Like if you feel the mood of the fan base, you know, like a week ago today, it's pretty different, right? Like right now they're tied for third place in the division, lots of parity, right there in the mix, you know. So good job by Martin Saint Louis and the whole team, kind of doing their homework and get everything together and having a really good weekend last weekend.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I agree with you about the homework. I think Martin said during that press conference, you know, you have to do your homework after you go to the test, and then the test is the game, and then you get your result of your test from the homework yesterday. when you play the what happening Sunday night, honestly. So I think they did a very good job. They study and then they prepare for the game, and then they pass the test, and it was successful overall. Perfect weekend for the Montreal Canadiens. Since February 2023, it was first time they won a back-to-back game for the Montreal Canadiens. So that is a long time about this. Well said, Marco, about Martin St. Louis and me. How I'm going to go away. You want to talk about this and then Mr. Marco in the chat already about Jake Evans, a leader, an extension now, 2.53 years. And I think this is a time right now Montreal could and they should sign him. No doubt on my mind. This is a great plus. Yeah, many other factors. Sometimes you remind me the way he talked right now, Mike Kane for the ex Montreal Canadian. A role a little bit less of Mike Kane, but not the same kind of players. But I see Jake Evans love to play in Montreal. I think he's improved a lot. Uh, it could be a really backup third line if you need it. He's a solid four line. He accomplished a lot of things on the details of the game. If you want to face off, he can be there. If you want a guy on the PK, he can be there. He's a leader inside the locker room. You can see now. I think this is the biggest voice since the beginning of the season, where the sometimes was negative around the team or a bad game, he show up at under the mic. After Nick Suzuki, I think Jake Evans was the most player involved with some kind of frustration, and you can see by his voice, but also on the ice. And I think the Montreal Canadiens right now, whatever they have Kapanen, Beck, Michael, Edge, the next 3-1, it's not guaranteed yet. I think it will be a good transition about from where they are today until the next, the wave of the other center in Montreal, and then that will give you a bit more, how you call it, like security if happened to Kirby Dak. Again, when I said that, we don't know what Kirby is, and now it's not a top six for Jake Evans, but something happens sometimes. Jake Evans can jumping in the lineup up and down. I think after Suzuki is maybe the best center right now with the Montreal Canadiens. So again, when I said Jake Evans, at some degrees with the extension and the money I'm talking on you can maybe go 2.7, but I will not go over that, obviously. Sometimes we let Philippe Dano for X dollars. We'll maybe let Lekanen for X dollar too. My point behind that is like we have him, we can keep him if you don't need, what I mean, like he can go to UFA. There's a type of player could be add a 3.5 possible, maybe, I'm not sure. But this is a way I believe he should be signed for the Montreal Canadiens sooner, quicker, faster. That would give Montreal a better transition for a couple of years with Jake Evans. And the most important Marco, is like anything else. And I know but some players love to play in Montreal, and he accept the market. How I say that? Like he accept the pressure in Montreal. And I think we cannot. He's on his peak of his career now. After until he got hurt by Mike Sheffley, it took him about 1-2 years with concussion and they bet, I don't know, scare or whatever it is. But you can see another Jake Evans right now. I know 9 games does not make a career, but I think for Montreal Canadiens, for the way he plays right now, that's something as an option they could consider to do something with Jake Evans. So, your turn.
Yeah, like I kind of threw this out in the chat, after the game yesterday, because you're starting to see him string together a pretty good, beginning of the season, and you look ahead, and yeah, coach, I'm with you. Like it seems, reading comments here, and you hear this all over the place, right? Like everybody seems to be penciling in Beck and Kapanen, in the bottom six center roles right away next season. What I say to that is, whoa, look, you gotta slow down on that. Like, I think for sure, you hope that one of those guys will be able to take up one of those roles next year. But I don't think like we talked about, if you think Habs management right now this year talked about being in the mix, how do you guys think they're going to feel next year? You think they're going to expectations are going to be even higher next year, right? To be competitive. So
But
do you honestly think that they're going to come into next season with two centers that have played less than, like 80 games in the NHL. Like, so, like right from the summer, coach, you've heard me talk about this on here is you have to keep one of either Dvorak or Evans, right? Now, as I talked more about Dvorak because he's a left-handed shot, but obviously, he's not playing very well right now, right? So it's making it very difficult to make a case for Dvorak and re-signing him. So Evans like has done nothing but do his job since he's been a Montreal Canadian. Like he's a seventh round pick, coach. That's really kind of fought his way up there. Played a really really important role for Montreal that year that they made it to the final, playing with Armia and playing with Perry, and at some points even playing up on the second line. At some points with Dano and everything else. So he's such a versatile player. And like right now, coach, he's number 2 overall in the NHL in penalty kill minutes as a forward. So I just don't see like the expression like the devil versus the devil that you don't know. If you go into next year, I challenge anyone to go and look at free agents for centers that can play a similar role that will be at a similar price point to Jake Evans. There's not many, right? So I think Montreal would be smart to go out and proactively try to get him locked up. I'm a little, if they can get him at 2.5 or a little bit above that for 3 years, I would be super happy. But I'm a little concerned that, like, I know he likes playing in Montreal, but, there's only one, this is going to be his last opportunity to cash in, coach, right? It's not like a player like Sean Monahan that's made $4 or $5 million a year over several years. He might be tempted, to kind of go out there and see what he can get because if people, if you look at the first comment, in the chat today, I heard somebody say, well, he's a dime a dozen type of center in the NHL. I don't think so. There's not a dime a dozen guys that is like over 50% right-handed center that can kill penalties, that can come in and he's not really a top 6 guy or even a top 9 guy ideally, but he can come in and kind of help out in those situations, right? So my concern, is it a bit too late? Should they have tried to extend him, even before this? Because now he can see his value is going up, right? He's having a very good season. So, it would be interesting if he really wants to stay in Montreal and take a bit of a discount. 2.5 for 3, I think would be absolutely perfect. But if I'm his agent, I'm looking at some comparables out there, and that should make fans, Habs fans a little bit nervous because there's some good comparables out there for him. And a team that's looking for somebody to kill penalties, that's dependable, that's showing that he's good for the culture, they might throw more money at him, coach. So we'll see. If they can get him for under 3, then I think that would be a good deal.
Yeah, good. And all everything you say makes sense. So my question to you: is he a four liner or a four line players or a third line players?
I think on a really really good team, he's a fourth line. But I
Okay,
think
so
for
okay, so my question to you: do you think a four line with a good team where they should have a lot of play with a lot of money they have on the salary cap, right? To put over $3 million on the four line for a center like Jake Evans, I don't see
yeah,
it's a good fit for him to get that way. So my what I'm trying to bring to you is like, yes, he could be with a Chicago team example. He could get a $3 million maybe on a couple of years, 3 4 years, or 3.5 because Chicago will be on the transition. They can use him on the third line. They still have the money right now, but after that, that's the way you have to decide. If you want to cash in, that's the kind of type that the team is looking for to maybe have an open more money for that kind of player. The Flowers could be another one, but Rand Pullen is
he
what,
makes 2 million. He makes 2 million right now, Ryan Paling. Yeah.
right? And overall, do you see him like Jake Evan is not Lars Eller example, right? And Lars Eller
No.
can run a $3 million or something like that. It's just for me at $3 million on the phone line. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Well, coach, like, but you said earlier, like the comparison that you did, is you compared it to Deno, right? So let's say Montreal really wants to get him at 2.5, 2.65 or something like that. And he really wants three. Are you willing to walk away from that player for a 2, 3 year deal for $400,000 and then take your risk of going out in the marketplace and not finding someone that already works well with your team, already does the job for you and all that, right? So I get it, like on paper, it's not ideal. Like you don't want to pay around, and I'm not saying I want them to pay 3 million. I'm just trying to be realistic that if and I earlier somebody like when I said the Monahan, I'm not comparing Evans to Monahan. Only thing I'm saying is that Monahan was willing to take a little bit less money because he's earned lots of money in his career already. Jake Evans is not, right? Like he's not earned tens of millions of dollars here. So this is Jake Evans' opportunity to cash in, right? So that's my only thing is so for $400,000, coach, I get it, right? But do you walk away from a player that fits your needs right now, fits really well into the locker room? So listen, like, are there examples in the NHL of competitive teams that have a fourth line center that makes that much? Yeah, like I'm sure you could find some, but you can't diminish. Like for me, like you would never pay $3 million. Like, well, right now we're doing it with Armia and Gallagher, and we're paying more than that. But it's on the wing where you don't want to be spending that kind of money for your fourth line, right? For me, a center, there's a premium on that position. He's taking key defensive faceoffs. He's killing penalties. So I'm perfectly fine with doing that. We're still going to have entry level contracts, a lot of them in the next 2, 3 years. So as long as it's not past 3 years, then I think Montreal can balance all that, right? So if it's beyond 3 years, then it starts to get a bit sticky. Now you're really getting into, yeah, you're maybe kind of like holding back a spot for someone that you hope, like with Beck or Kapanen, if you expect that those guys will be able to fill that. And again, like you hope that Beck will come in and steal that job in the next 2 years. I don't think he's going to be ready next year. A lot of people think he will be. I'm not confident he's there yet. And even if he makes the team, do you want him being your first line penalty kill guy? Again, for a team that wants to be competitive next year. Like I know we're in Montreal, we're used to talking about development and progress. That's going away, guys. Like, the management team wants to be more competitive this year and even more next year. So for me, guys, like you have to, you have a guy there that the team loves him. The guys love him. He's very dependable. Overall, he's been pretty, like, he's had some injury issues, but not as bad as some other players. Like, comparatively to other players in Montreal, he's pretty reliable, and he at least will get you 65, 70 games, on average. So
Yeah, so right, Marco, a lot of great things. A lot of people talk very well about Jake Evan, about the fact like he's a really important player from Montreal at some degrees. Today, the Mark Slakey 14. Slakey 14 said, yeah, but we have other young pipeline player is coming. You're absolutely right about this, Slake. You have the open spot for the front of one. But the point, what Marco just said, for what I understood, Marco, is fact like the management want to go a little bit more on the mix of the playoff again, a little bit higher next year, right? To be a part of that mix, but you cannot go with a Kapanen, a Beck, and Michael Edge, or two of them right away as a center, number three, number four. I think for me, Jake Evan for next season for Montreal is a bit what Sean Mannion did like the last 2 seasons as a utility players inside of the top nine forward. He can go from first, second, or third line. He plays solid, face off. He can go on the PK. Jake Evan can do that, and the period of the 3 years fit with everything for the Montreal try to accomplish to rebuilding the roster construction, Marco, and everything. I think that's the way I see that with Jake Evan. For $3 million, I can understand that. It's not going to hurt too much the Montreal Canadiens because they have a lot of rookies with a lot of players coming around. They still have the entry level contract. So salary cap wise, it's not bad at all. And you know exactly what you get with Jake Evan. The key for me is a little bit like, yes, 9 game. Can he reflect this for the next 73 more games like that for with the Montreal Canadiens to get that kind of money. So it will be interesting what happening for that one over there. How much does Nick Down can
yeah,
pay for you?
I was just looking that up. He makes 1.3 million. Makes 1.3 million. but that contract was signed in 2021, right? So again, with the salary cap going up, if you amortize that to kind of what the reality is today, I think it gets you probably close to that, like 2.5. So it's not a bad comparable. It's not a bad comparable. Nick Dowd.
Nicolas Roy have 3.2, 3.4, I believe, with the Vegas Golden Knights. So,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Looking at
Very
lot.
quick, Marco transition. Add news, the Montreal Canadiens injuries, what happening? Sakasi, Coley, Barron. It could, one of the three, or two or three, maybe three, could return this week with the Montreal Canadiens. They're wearing now the dog jersey, right? No contact, but I think they will return on the ice today and tomorrow, and then I will be maybe some, they may be changing their color, but expect at some point Sakaski Cody, they are very close to come back with the team. And RHP, a few weeks, is still now skating. That's the good news for him, and it will be interesting. They are the big four. We know exactly what's going on with Patrick, so that's happening with that. Then on the same time, on the same thing, but the Rocket injuries, they have a very bad news. Philippe Major, after a great start of the season, 5 points the first 4 games, got hurt Friday night. And we see him left the game slowly with a limp a little bit on the locker room direction. Now it looks like he's out for 6 to 8 weeks for Major. And it's a part of the game, but it's sad for him. He was really ready for the upcoming season. He trained hard during summer, and you can see it was another measure. I think he was different than what we expect, and he showed it with the Laval Rocket. I think with that fun kid line with Davidson and Beck have a good solid season. Arsenault is still day to day with his broken finger. Gignac and Dauphin now. Dauphin got hurt Saturday. So we'll be interested how they're going to be ready with that Wednesday night. The Laval Rocket return Wednesday night. We're going to do a play-by-play. That's the reason Marco is, not the reason, but Marco will come Monday night because usually he does the notebook. So we'll be back next week, the notebook show Wednesday night. But again, Laval Rocket still have a couple plus. They have extra forward like Sean Farrell, Rally Kitney. They call up Alex Bocage. Maybe they will call up now Miscom, one of them, about this. Perrault is on the, because nobody talk about Jacob Perrault. Perrault got hurt during the training camp early with the Montreal Canadiens. They're not returning, and he's back in shape now with the Lions. So a question of time, maybe Perrault could join the Laval Rocket. So I want to give you a little bit an idea what happening with the Laval Rocket injury. So very quickly, just give you an update. I think people like to get to know what's going on about that. Shall ask us this question: is the ad trade events at the trade deadline? What will get for him? It's not a second round, then they will should keep him. Yes or no?
Yeah, great question. Like I've said a couple times here, like I don't see Montreal just being, unless they're way, way, way out of it. And I just don't think Montreal's in the position where they're desperate to collect assets. Like what does another third round pick do for Montreal at this point? They have so many picks. So I think, same thing goes for Savard. I just don't see the value in moving them unless it's a first round pick. I'm not moving really anybody unless it's like, if you're getting rid of salary, like if for somebody that's still in the books for next year, but for any of the unrestricted free agents, like if they're playing a role on the team, I'm not, if I'm Hughes, like I'm not really horny to get rid of assets just to collect like late round picks, to be honest. So I don't know, like the right team, like I said, you'd be surprised what teams are going to pay for like a depth center, a right-handed center that can win faceoffs, kill penalties. I think his value might surprise you on the market, to be honest.
I still believe a third round pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it then. What's the point?
I
What's the
don't see
point?
right now any player from Montreal get higher at the third round pick.
Depends on the marketplace. Like I could see if Savard
Here's the
continues.
point, Marco, when I said that. I believe at the trade deadline, you're going to have better players on the market at what Montreal has, and that would pay a little bit more higher to get X players. I don't want to talk about the specific players, but that's the reason I said that. That's, what I mean? Like, before they select Jake Evans, you're going to maybe have four center in NHL open up at the trade deadline to get someone before him. So
Yeah,
that's what I
but
said. I don't want pick before that.
see that where the value is though, coach, is that it's the amount of money that he makes, right? Some teams might like there might be better players available at the trade deadline, but they might make a lot more money. So
Yeah,
if
but
you're
at
looking,
center Marco at the bottom six, not many make $5 million a plus, and then you can have a 50% remaining until the end of the season. So my
how
only
many
point I
more
just said I don't see Montreal get a second round pick for any player they have. Armia Pesada, they will rack Savard. I don't see that.
it's so early to tell a coach what the marketplace will be, but again, it's one of those things.
But follow what
Teams
you
do
just
crazy.
said. I agree with you. If they are close to the mix or conversation the mix, and to trade for a player at the third round pick, fourth round pick, I would not do it. I would keep what I have right
Even even if they're not, like even if they're 8 games back, I would rather just finish strong and have the team
now.
continue playing well. Especially like again, if we're thinking that they might re-sign Evans, then you're not trading him away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Savard, same thing. Like I'm not convinced that they don't extend Savard either. To be honest, depends how the rest of the year goes. It's not impossible that they extend Savard either. So unless you're getting something of tremendous value to Montreal, I just don't see like Montreal is past that phase, guys, where we're just we're collecting every asset that we can, and like I just don't see them being at that stage anymore.
Oh, Slikey says Savard get a first round pick. I don't think so.
It's not
Eh,
impossible, but it's not impossible.
But again, Marco is to remind me a little bit like last year, right? You get Danev, higher pick before him. You get, you know what I mean? Like, I can go like this. Um, but what's interesting, they just come back with the two goals from Kyle Connors back to back.
Ooh,
I was 4-2. And congratulations, Steven Senko's got a point on the goal of the Randall Riley. 2-1 now, like Tampa Bay against them. And the Panthers still winning 3-2. And the game for the Utah just started. So thanks so much, everybody, to be a part of the show. Don't forget, click on the like. Abolition back in the house. And we have, forgot Marco. The Dodgers late. Bob's is in the house. Bob Z is in the house. Bob always in the age about hockey. About that. Foyce with the Rangers gave a big extension to Lafreniere, knowing what dollar sharing it one. Now game is gonna go to year free or get traded just against stay and the New York Rangers and not going to go nowhere. 45 minutes. Another hit. The Dodgers lead the Yankees guy 3-0. Could be a really short series, obviously, for the
yeah,
baseball fans. Uh,
wow.
about that. So I would say to you, for you, just again, go nowhere. Like, don't take 30 seconds about that one. Anyway, Marco, 2-1-0. The Montreal Canadiens, 4 points. 11 goal, 12 goal again, -1. And this, I remember the game for New York Rangers. And I want you to focus more on the weekend, if you don't mind. Like we already talked about the Rangers. So
Yeah.
overall, we take the perfect weekend. And by the way, for the first time since last year, Mr. Marco, I won the number of the point last year. I was the only one select 4 points for the Montreal Canadiens. My
Good for you.
publicity of the Montreal, my confidence about Martin Saint-Louis make it that 4 point. But not happen
Yeah,
a lot.
I remember I was on the show, coach, when you chose your number, and I think you chose it because nobody else chose it.
No, it
Did you
was
see? You
because I
like?
no,
Oh,
no. I will say to you, you are almost right. Usually, I try to go around you and in of that. So not everybody, but you're right about that. I tried to go one thing about this. I think it was 1 or 2 points for you last week, right?
you chose 2 points. Yeah, I thought they were
Yeah.
going to get to.
TH in the house, big fan of the New York calendars. Welcome back. There's sorry we have no time to talk. If we have time at the end, we'll talk about Patrick Roy and Lula Mariano about this. TH, you can give us what you think about that. But perfect weekend. It's the only time I will show all the goals of Montreal Canadiens, if you don't mind.
Yeah, coach. So listen, like we talked about with my headline, Montreal did their homework. Really, really strong start in both games. Here we see Jake Evans. I think this one was shorthanded, if I'm not mistaken, after he blocked a shot. Then here's Kirby Doc getting off the schneid. The whole universe falling off his shoulders after scoring that one. And you could tell Kirby Doc was like a totally different player after he scored. Like just so much more confident, much more dynamic with the puck, his feet moving. Beautiful pass there to Newhook. I talk about this all the time on the power play, guys. So important to move the puck around fast. Almost every goal Montreal scored on the power play has been when they move it fast. Caulfield, with one of his rare goals from in the slot this year, it's his first goal this year where he scored from the slot. All of his goals before that were from that left circle. And then Armia here getting off the schneid. Nice way for him to get on the board at the end of the game, even though it was an empty net. Very, very strong team effort, coach. Montembeault played really well. And don't forget, like St. Louis beat Toronto before that. And then Philly, another really, really strong start by the team. We had like Hudson that hit a post before this. Really, really nice player by Suzuki being able to nail that one in. Then a really, really nice move here by Galley, just being in the right spot at the right time, getting rewarded with all his hard work. Finally, getting a little bounce. He hadn't scored in a while, so good for him. Caulfield continuing his hot start, manages to squeeze one by the rookie goaltender who was playing his first game in the NHL. I forget it, the Russian kid's name. I forget his name. And then here we go, Jake Evans. What a weird play by Gallagher, who broke his stick and somehow the puck went all the way across. What a crazy play there. But another great break for Gallagher, 2 points on the board. Then at that point, though, coach, like probably the only critique that you would have of the whole weekend is they did allow, like they had the game well in hand. They did allow kind of Philly to get back in there a little bit. Primo kind of, I think it was Sanheim scored his second goal, from pretty far out. Like both shots, I think he had a bit of a screen in front of him. And then you saw Montreal kind of like, I wouldn't say they panicked a little bit, but they definitely kind of bended a little bit, right? So Philly made it a bit closer towards the end. But overall, like, did you at any point really think, that Montreal wasn't in control of that game against Philadelphia? Like, it seemed a lot closer. Like if you just look at the box score, it looks like it was a lot closer than it was. But Montreal, I feel like they Caulfield could have scored at least 4 goals against Philadelphia. Like he missed. Goalie made a really good save on him. There's a couple of shots that he missed. There was a couple of breakaways as well too. So Philadelphia, like I saw the post game with John Tortorella. That team has a lot of work to do, coach. Like just their defensive zone, if you think it was bad for Montreal, like that Philly team has a lot of work to do. But St. Louis, like, that was a team that was playing really good hockey since the beginning of the season. So I think that was a really good effort. Binnington, I think he was pretty good in that game too, right? So it's not like Montreal, just, got the benefit of bad goaltending on the other side. I think they earned their 4 points. Like it was a very, very solid weekend. Like he pointed out, this is the first time in forever that Montreal actually won back-to-back games. They traveled as well too. So great work, like and really, really balanced effort, I would say. Like I think I saw your daily this morning, coach, like of your 3 stars or your, I think you had Mayu really, who was the only guy to get sent to the coach's office. And I think I agree with you, right? Like it's pretty hard to point to any players that didn't have a strong weekend. Jacka had a really, really strong game against St. Louis. A little tougher against Philadelphia at times, but still
We're going
pretty
to talk
good.
about Jacka a little bit earlier, Marco, and what I'm going to bring to you, you're going to see, I'm sure you said, agree with that. It's not big things,
Yeah,
right? The little
yeah, yeah.
things, but have a good weekend, by the way. Have a great
Very good
weekend.
weekend.
He bounced
I
back,
agree.
and great for
Yeah,
him. He stabilized a little bit the pairing about that. So, yeah.
yeah. No, so really, it just Mayu, and we talked about this in the chat yesterday. It's not that we don't have faith in Mayu's development, or we like. I still think he's going to be an NHL defenseman, maybe top 4. Like I think that's maybe he ends up being a number 4. At the very least, he's going to be a very, very solid bottom pairing defenseman that will bring you offense too, right? So he just it's his reads, right? Like just his gaps and little things, like just missing coverage here and there, but it's not a lack of effort, right? Like you can see he cares, you can see that he wants to do it. I think it's just a little bit more experience. Don't forget the guy missed a whole year of development in junior as well. So I think once either Barron or Gouli gets back, he'll go back down, continue to go and dominate in the AHL. So guys, nothing but good stories, good vibes back in Habs land, which is great to see. And I'm sure we'll look forward to the next week. But The next 4 games, coach, some very winnable games for Montreal here as well. So let's ride the wave, ride the wave. Like we had two game winning streak. Next game against Seattle. So excited to kind of see where it goes from here. But very exciting weekend. Love it when they go back to back like that. And for once, they don't make us cry in our beer on the second game, which was nice.
Yeah, sorry, but Marco, I'm going to go all the way up here. You maybe I'm not losing you, but I'm going to show my not my 3 star, but my stood out players, everything like that, right? Right here. For the weekend, I gave Nick Zuski, my obscure Jake Evan, and the office Logan Mayu. So back to you now. It would take a little bit to go back here now. Um,
Yep.
all agree, or do you have another different about that? I'm talking about the reward we gave every time we we are together.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'll say this: like, it's hard to like Nick Suzuki is. It's a very weird thing because you can't argue with his production, right? Like, he's more than a point per game, but there's a part of me that still thinks he's not playing that well. Like, he's playing okay, right? But I still think he has another gear. And he's getting a lot of those points on the power play, right? Like not a lot of 5-on-5 points. So I don't know if he would have been kind of like my top performer. For me, I kind of flip that. Maybe I would make Jake Evans my top performer. To be honest, like I don't think he's obscure at all. I don't think he was the obscure hero. Like he scored 2 goals this weekend. He's killing penalties. He's playing amazing, right? So for me, I would probably have Jake Evans as like my standout player, and as like kind of the obscure hero, I would probably say David Saval because he had a really nice bounce back
It
this
was
weekend.
Evans or it was Sabal that one.
Yeah,
Sabal.
yeah,
For me, Sabal stabilized the defense. The reason they have a good weekend is the stabilize the
yeah.
defensive, the Sabal. Why? Because now if he create a good pairing on the top four and give Lane Hudson also more stabilize everything. And I think you have what, 9 block shot. It
Yeah,
was
and on top
for
of
me.
that, coach, I don't know if you remember, but the first goal, the Evans goal that we saw that he scored shorthanded, I don't know if you remember, but the poise and the patience that Savard showed, he's the one that did that outlet pass. Like I don't know if you remember that play or if you have that video, but like there was a play behind the net and he was being pressured and he just took his time and he kind of like faked a little bit and the player kind of like gave him a little space and he took his time. He was very patient, did a really nice outlet pass. So not only was he, blocking shots and stabilizing the defense, like you said, but really poised plays out there too, right? Like it's not easy playing with with Lane Hudson, guys. Like he's really hard to read, right? Like he's all over the place. So it's kind of like you have to really be on your toes when you're playing with him because you don't know what he's going to do. You think the opponent doesn't know what he wants to do. Guess what? His teammates still don't really know what he's going to do all the time, right? So listen, I think Suzuki, again, I don't want to poo-poo on him. Like he's more than a point per game. But I think and I'm sure I will talk about this here with Slavkovsky in the second line, right? But would you agree that that first line with Doc over the weekend looked as good as it did all season, even when Slavkovsky was playing? I think the first line looked better. Like the 2 games they played this weekend, I think 5-on-5, it was the
Yeah, but
best
you
that they
can
looked
see
all
just
season.
by Suzuki is Corsi because I really pay. Like when it was Corsi, I really pay more the Corsi for the center because the center,
Yeah,
Marco, they are the play driver, right? They carry on
correct.
that line. So Corsi hit 54, 56 this weekend,
Yeah.
and because what the line was better all the one. I think that Sarkozy not because he did not play bad, like did not put that line badly, but Sarkozy still have another gear to show to the Montreal Canadiens right now. And I think that step up this weekend, stabilize a bit more. Yeah, better chemistry. Here we go. I think the word chemistry on that is maybe the best one there.
Yeah, like this is going to be a big debate, right? Like people are going to say that we have recency bias, right? Because we've seen Doc, and I've seen people online saying like, well, the sample size with Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky is much bigger, and I think we're all excited to see that line put back together. But it's a larger question here, guys. Like, As we've been talking about since the summer, what is the biggest question Montreal needs to figure out this year? Where's Kirby? What is Kirby Doc? That is the $1 million question: is Kirby Doc a center? What is Kirby Doc?
Yep.
So the question is again, is it's going to be like the chicken and the egg, right? So is he going to be, now a little with more confidence? If you put him back at center, will he transport that new confidence and be able to drive his own line at center? Or is he just going to be better playing wing? That's going to be the biggest question, right? And I'm sure you might have that as another topic here, Coach. But so overall, yeah, that like not only was Suzuki's Corsi a lot better, but the goals expected for that line I think was insane, like the highest that it's been in many 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 games, like going even back to last year. If you look at the sample size with Doc, Suzuki, and Caulfield playing together, I'd be curious to see what the numbers look like. Like, is it superior to Slafkovsky being on there, or is it superior to Doc? It's an interesting question.
Yeah,
So
sorry about
we'll see how that works out. But it's good to have that backup option, but it does leave a pretty glaring hole in their plans if you're going to play Doc on the right wing on the first line. So that's the big question.
We're going to talk about this in the next couple of minutes. Like great conversation. Bob's brain maybe Mayu. We take him 3 years before he become that. For you talk about Marco, about forget, so Ab Caulfield, Suzuki, Dak together. Bob Smith answer for people, everybody. Tony the Mark consider talking about Kubiak. My question I just put in the chat, and before we move the next one, Marco, I ask, can you teach the hockey IQ?
I think you can certainly improve it. Martin Saint Louis talks a lot about computers, and I don't know if Coach, if you remember the joke that I always make about Josh Anderson. You know how I compare Josh Anderson to an old iPhone that doesn't have a very fast computer in it. I used to make that joke for the last couple of years, and Martin Saint Louis recently has started talking about players and how good their computer is in their mind, right? And so I think it's very true. So depending on the speed and the size of a player's computer in their brain, you can teach more to players that have a bigger and stronger computer, right? But even somebody that has a smaller computer and has less ability to progress, you can probably still increase it, say like by 10%.
Like
But
the
a
RAM,
player
right? You talk about memories on the computer, the RAM.
more RAM, exactly. Yeah, like more speed. Like yeah, like either you can have like Chat GPT on your phone, or you can barely play Angry Birds on your phone. That's kind of the difference, right? So if you have a strong computer, then you can teach a lot to that person. So you can increase that person's hockey IQ much to a much larger extent. Maybe you can increase it 30-40%, or whatever. While somebody like Josh Anderson, you can only improve it by 8%, right? So I think all players have the ability to increase their hockey IQ, but it really depends on their processing speed, right? So that's how I would answer that question.
And the point I bring to you guys, because it's usually me when I not scouting, but I'm watch players. I take a note, everything like that. I'm always looking for the IQ, and I think for me, you have maybe not as good compared, but I would say to you the beauty of Lane Hudson is hockey sense. The hockey IQ is the top best computer you can get, honestly, right? If you go to Logan Mayu, he has the size, a good shot. He have some kind of he skate very well. Offensive side is there, but at the end, his decision making, his hockey IQ is below average for me. And that's
Yeah.
this for me. It will push him behind. Said that, it's not said he's a bad player, and not said he's never going to make any shot. My point is going to be struggling a little bit like Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson, because he's a north south player, Marco, honestly, I think he sees the net smaller at what he looked like. Does it make sense? Like he don't see the hole in the net. Like the goalie, he gave him something, he don't see it. And that's the
He's a
part of that.
horse. He's a horse with
Yeah,
blinders,
yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's a good question that some people answer about this. I think it's a really something you have to when you evaluate a players, you have to look about his hockey IQ. Yes, he can develop at some point, but he cannot go higher to, I think, to make a big impact a long term. So this is why I believe when you draft players, you have to add that equation. Are you that player over there? I think Bob said, I think that's a smart coach who can teach a player the X and O on the game, but it's harder to teach a player to nuance of the game. I think that's a part of the game is more instinctive. Great point about that for that one, for sure. Let's move on, Marco, on the next one. We're going to rock and roll. We still have 35 minutes together, so we have a little bit more time about this. And we talked about him a little bit earlier. You bring his homework, but I really believe Martin Louis, the temperatures calm down, right? Go down with the performance of Montreal Canadiens. And you did the homework, but I want to talk about what happened with the defensive zone. And we're talking about the special team. This is the two area where at the beginning of the season it was questionable about the Montreal game. We said he'd have a better year. The special team have to increasing the number. And right now they are amazing. And the defensive zone struggling last week. And the hybrid defensive zone, I think he tried to fix it. It will take a little bit of time. But at the end of the day, I think Martin Silvi right now just calm down the temperature of the people like Tony Mariano and many by baller expert on the and on the
Yeah.
TV, on the radio show, whatever it is. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit when I'm
Oh
just
yeah, for sure. Like, well, first of all, coach, like I think everybody's heard that rule that if your power play percentage and your penalty kill percentage is above 100, then you're in good shape. If you're over 110, you're really talking about higher echelon in the league. Right now, Montreal, if you combine their penalty kill and their power play percentage, they're at 113%, which is, I believe, seventh in the whole NHL if you combine both, right? So their specialty teams are at an elite level, like, not just kind of, they're in the like elite NHL level. Now, if they can maintain that, that's a whole other question, right? Like having that in the first 10 games is one thing. But if Montreal can stay in the top 15 in that combined percentile of PK and power play, that's going to be massive, guys. Like that, we talked about that, coach, at the beginning of the year. What were some of the things that they needed to do? We know they needed to score at least 260 goals for, and they needed to bring their goals down by about 70 goals to about like maybe like 240 goals against. And then might be in the mix. So if Montreal can be even just average or even slightly below average in terms of 5-on-5 play, if they can keep their specialty teams at this level, they're going to be competitive, guys. It's just math, right? Like it's, unless you're super unlucky, like there's some exceptions to that. Like if you look at Washington, if you look at their goal differential last year, it doesn't look like they should have been in the playoffs at all. But sometimes goal differential can be a little bit misleading, right? Because you might be in a lot of close games, but the games that you might lose 7-2, right? But you're in a lot of your other games are really close, right? So there's a lot of way, like you can look at so many different statistics and read different stories, right? But the big difference, I agree with you 100%. Saint Louis did such a good job. He seems so confident, right? And like I said, with my headline, coach, it's probably the biggest pressure that he's felt so far in the NHL. He dropped the great line. I think it's from Aaron Rodgers, the line where, why would I accept advice from somebody that I don't, or why would I look for advice from somebody that I don't want advice from, or something like that. I forget what the exact quote is. So it's clear that he knows there's a lot of noise out there, especially about the defensive system after the New York game. But I think he did a really good job of, like you said, calming the temperature down, getting the guys to focus, having a really positive mindset, talk about, let's do our homework. We're going to be ready for the test. And, ultimately there's, the big questions that we had was, is he doing a good job of teaching this hybrid concept, right? The big news that came out, I think, was on the Arpin and Basu podcast that it came out, is what we learned, I think, at the beginning of last week, is at training camp, what St. Louis did, because the system that they had, or they have this year, wasn't that different from what they had last year. At training camp, what they did is they tried to introduce one new thing to the system, which is they wanted always to have one player that was in front of the net. So we won't go into the technical aspects of the defensive system, coach, but we know that it's man to man unless something happens, and then they want to pressure certain situations, right? So that's the essence of the hybrid system. You're going man to man, but then when there's opportunities, you're supposed to pressure and do outnumbered. You're going to surge in certain situations and try to win the puck back, right? So that's the general concept. But then he tried to add something else, which is we want you to do those two things, but we also want somebody in front of the net all the time. And apparently, from what Basu was reporting, that's what some of the players were having a lot of difficulty with, is understanding, okay, so you're asking me to go pressure the puck to make a read and make a read that, okay, now it's my time to go and pressure the puck. But at the same time, you want somebody in front of the net. And they're just having problems computing that. Now, they asked him after the weekend, coach. I don't know if you caught this, but I forget which reporter asked him. He's like, did you make any concessions to the system so the players could understand it better? And he was very sneaky. He didn't answer it as to what he did. So I'm curious, maybe what St. Louis did in the last 3 days. He said, you know what, guys, like the whole new thing I introduced this summer about always having somebody in front of the net, don't worry about that. Like, don't worry about that. Let's just go back to the system that we had. That's one thing that he could have done to simplify things. Or they just doubled down on it and they tried to explain it a different way. We don't know what was said in the dressing room. But either way, I think what we saw this weekend shows that they definitely had better reads. They didn't get stuck in the circus, the circus offense of the other teams. Now, again, they didn't play a team like the Rangers, right? St. Louis and Philadelphia are not the New York Rangers. So we'll see in the following games here as they maybe play teams that have a better cycle if they're able to execute as well. But it's a very good step. It's a step in a very good direction for sure from what we saw.
Great, great point about that. Just give you an update. Philadelphia 4-2. Bennett is 8th goal of the year. Blue Jacket 6-0 against the Oilers. Monahan and have 2 goals tonight. We have the Predator come back and Marco 2-2. Stankos
Nice,
2 assists of the 2 goals. That's
nice.
great about this. Toronto lead 5-2. Tavares scored 2 goals, third effort of the season. Chicago lead 2-1 over Colorado. Lucas Richard with his first goal of the season. And then Philippe Kurazev for the Chicago Blackhawks. The Utah just opened up, Mr. Dylan Quanter scored a goal against
Coach, all
Sharks.
these players that you're mentioning, they're all in my pool.
I can add one more, Matthew Nice.
Yeah, I've got Matthew Nyes. I've got Pacioretty, who's got 3 assists. I've got 14 points, 14-1 in my pool so far tonight. So off to a strong start.
If you have Matthews Ekholm scored his second goal this season, 6-1 now, power play goal for the
Wow.
Edmonton Oilers. So we're going to get a bit more what's going on. So you're absolutely right. I think Martin really did a good job during the weekend. I think for me, the special team is really the key of opening season for the Montreal Canadiens. Great on power play, great on the PK. And you have to be a good team in NHL. You need that special team, Marco. It's no doubt in my mind. You have to go that direction. So,
are you surprised though, Coach, so are you surprised though that they would be at 130? Like when you combine their power play and their PK, are you surprised that they're that high though? Like I didn't think that they would be over 110. Like that's pretty impressive.
Definitely on that one over there. I was expect if they are around 105, this is a team could be in the playoff. Like this is rare.
Absolutely.
So that will drop the number. I don't think so. Montreal is going to go all the way that way, right? But we have to be encouraged for what we see for the special team. And again, to have better players, more skill and better, and with time, those numbers will be better and better and better. But for me, it's really the power play. I'm really impressed for what happening there for them, and this is a effect because of the of the Cole Caulfield. The Panthers score another goal. This time, Barkov scored a goal, and now it's 5-2. And the game, Columbus is over 6-1. Lost the shootout at the last minute of the game. And that's not one you hear from a goaltender. But that's happening about that. So here we go. That's what we got. We move on. And I want to talk about him for the weekend. I think we talk about a little bit about this. I think we bring back on that. I would like to hear from the people said in the chat. Albert Jekai bounced back. I think he have a lot of, you know, not on the hot spot, but in fact, like Martin said, we talked about him during last week. Yeah, Jekai is a favorite player for the Montreal Canadiens. They want him. They want to be there, everything like that. And I think if he play at that level he showed to us during the weekend, this is what you're looking for Albert Jekai. It's not perfect, but again, Marco, it's never going to be perfect for any of them. You could be Nick Ziski, Cole Caulfield, or whatever who you are. It's not perfect. But you can see a better Albert Jekai version of what he shows on the weekend. That's what we're looking for. I just want to say where he need to improve. For me, at two areas is first pass on the ice. And when I said first pass, you have some time. It could be some time not lazy. It's just like a miss or not focusing enough or not see the option passing. We talk about hockey IQ, guys. This is they are He's limited, right? It's not like a top pairing defenseman, but he's limited. Sometimes he returned the puck to opponent team on the defensive zone, create a turnover, and that would give an opportunity for the team. It's happened 3 times during the game against the Flyers. That this is something you need to use more. You talk about during the weekend while we are stuck in the zone, but maybe we don't use the glass. Maybe we don't see the right option right there. And this is what I see him to improve that area. The second thing, he need to become better on the shut down 1 versus 1. He got beats on his Saturday guys on the crossover, and that's what it, again. This is the details of the game. I'm not negative about him. It's when I want him to improve those two things for him, that would make him a defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens. Because whenever you have a shot at 100 mile per hour, whatever you're taking, he can score 7, 8 goals. Jekai need to improve the defensive coverage. That's what Jekai need to become the best of the best. And I think he did a great performance for him as well. Weekend again, I gave him a B during my report card for the weekend. But about this, and then we can talk about Mayu after that. And so go with both of them, then I will finish with Mayu. Sorry if you're a little bit
Okay.
long, by the way.
No, it's all good. No, I think you're bang on. Like, maybe a little. Like, I see what you mean about his first pass. Like, there's a couple times like where he passed it behind a guy and things like that. But I give him I see his hockey IQ a little higher than you. Maybe like I do think he has good vision. Like there are some times where he'll have really smart breakout passes, and his overall numbers on breakouts are pretty good compared to some of the other Montreal defensemen. So
So
where I'm more
go ahead.
yeah, where I'm with you is definitely the crossovers and his gaps, right? Like there's a lot of times where he's caught a bit flat-footed. It's defending on the rush. I find is probably the biggest thing. Like there's a lot of times like he'll have a guy like right next to him and then they'll pass it right into the middle of the ice on the rush and he gets caught a bit flat-footed, right? So it's just a little bit more it's like that gap control and being able to not let guys go past him. So defending on the rush, and I agree with those crossovers. I forget which player it was, but it was a guy who like went around him super easily in the defensive zone. But
His crossover backward he was
yeah,
the problem with that part of there. That's what I
yeah,
pay attention right away about that one. Again,
yeah,
every defenseman is going to get beat,
yeah,
Marco, and
sure,
you
for
can
sure.
go
So
after that.
yeah. So listen, I agree 100%. Great bounce back from him. Great to see. We're all excited. Like if we can have Jack playing a solid role for the team, like there's no question. We all know kind of what intangibles he brings to the team. So if he like just if he could just continue down this road, he'll get even more confidence, and then he'll be able to kind of be a little bit more aggressive too, right? Like he was like we'd still like him to see him be a bit more physical as well too. Like that's kind of what makes him fun as a player. Like you don't want to completely neuter him either, right? Like he's an animal, right? So you want him, you want players to be a bit afraid of him on the ice, right? Like he needs to do unpredictable, violent things sometimes because that's who he is. and that's how he's effective, right? So, but he just needs to add value, because remember how Martin Saint Louis says it's being away from, like, your play away from the puck is so much more important with your play with the puck, because you play 97% of the game without the puck. Well, it's the same thing as a physical defenseman. You're going to play 99% of the game where you don't have the option to hit someone, right? Because you can't chase around to hit someone. Like, you can only, like Martin Saint Louis always says, right? You have to play the game that's in front of you. There might be 6 shifts where you don't have a good opportunity to hit someone. So when Jacky has the opportunity to do something violent within the rules that's going to scare opponents, amazing. That's what makes him special. But the rest of the 98 or 99% of the time where those plays are not available, he needs to be making simple plays. I think I see a little bit more upside in his vision and creativity maybe than you do, but I agree. Like, he still has to keep things simple when it comes to his 5-on-5 play. One thing that I've missed too is that it seems like Jacky was a lot better at getting his point shots through in his first season, but he's not getting as many of those point shots through as he used to. So I'd like to see him be able to kind of get more shots on net to create opportunities at the net, because he was very good at that. But you haven't seen that as much
I think for
the
me,
last few.
Marco, it's about mobility, right? It's moving forward, backwards about that. I just want to stop you for 10 seconds. We don't know yet, but Connor McDavid is hurt.
Injured.
So,
Yeah, he didn't come. Yeah. In the first period, he got injured, like in his first shift, coach. I didn't want to interrupt you when you were giving the update earlier, but yeah, I saw the play. He fell awkwardly in the boards, and he didn't come back. Like, it was very early in the first period.
um, Matt City scored his first goal of the year, Marco. Sometimes, guys, some players struggle at the beginning of the year. Will Smith with San Jose, Matt City. Dallin scored his first goal of the game of the season tonight. Buffalo lost tonight 5-2 against the Florida Panthers, by the way.
Sorry, but that's good news for Montreal. Good news for
So,
Montreal there.
so that's the good news about this. Toronto winning 5-2 against Winnipeg, and then still 2-2 Nashville. The Chicago Blackhawks beat Colorado 3-1, Marco.
Colorado. So they lost their first 3 games or 4 games. Then they won 4, and
Now
then
they
they
go
lose
back like
again.
so. But what
That's a
a great
crazy.
start for Ross Carlton and Kel McCarr.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
good start for
Leading the
them.
NHL in scoring right now. Ross Colton he's tied with Caulfield for, like, he's there. I think there's like 4 players tied for number one and, like, with 8 goals, right? And Ross Colton is one of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this. Logan Mayu, you want to add
Yep.
something else or?
No, I like I said off the top, coach. Like, I think, you know, like his. We talked about his computer, right? So, I think he has the potential maybe to be a top 4 defenseman. I just don't know yet for sure. Like, it's all going to depend how he's able to apply the things that they teach him. He has all the physical tools, like you said, the skating, the size, the shot, all of that. He's got every physical tool that you want. He seems like a good guy too. Like, he seems, you listen to his interviews, he's very thoughtful. He says all the right things. He seems like he has a very good attitude. You've heard a couple things like he missed a practice or whatever, but overall he seems like he has a very good attitude to me. So it's really just a matter of, can he put it all together? So I think overall, once Barron or Goulet comes back here, then I think it would make sense to send him back for sure, and he'll get more games this year for sure, because there'll be more injuries, and stuff like that. So it's not the last we'll see of Logan Mailloux this season, but listen, overall, like, offensively, somebody pointed out, like, his numbers look good. Like, he's got 3 points, I think, in 5 games. So, but we never question his offensive ability, right? Like, we know that that's not what's going to make him be able to stay in the NHL, because they have Lane Hudson. They don't, and you hear, what's really interesting, coach? There's a lot of the defensemen, like, you've heard Goulet say this, you've heard Mailloux say this, and you've even heard Justin Barron say this. They're like, you know what? Now that Lane Hudson is on the team, we kind of have that guy. So I really need to focus on being a much better defensive defenseman. So it's like everybody recognizes how elite Lane Hudson is going to be, that they realize that maybe originally my key my ticket to the NHL was going to be a defenseman that produces offense, but they're realizing now that Lane Hudson is there, Montreal is going to need a different kind of defenseman to round out their decor, right? And that's why when you bring up Engstrom all the time, which I also I like Engstrom a lot, but I wonder, like, in the future, do you see, like, does Montreal have a room for, like, Engstrom is in my view, plays very similarly to Hudson, right? He's very shifty, he's very creative and everything else. Are you going to have room for two guys like that?
Yeah,
It's
you can.
interesting.
You think about Hudson and Madison,
Yeah, but I think math. Like, the question is, will
but I
Engstrom
think
be as good
Angstrom is
as?
going to be a little bit more a two-way center, two-way defenseman. Like he's going to be very good on the defensive side. If he can improve a little bit more his physicality, you're
Mhm.
going to see him. I watched him for many 3 years now with Tim Sweden, with the junior. I watched him at the SHL. He started at the third pairing. He jumping right away after a couple of months on the first pairing. Angstrom for me is my wild card on the defenseman. This is going to be better at Trouble. That will be better at Jekai, in my opinion. On the
But he's
left
different.
side, what?
Compare them though. They're so different. Like, you, you can't compare that. Like, they're so different in style of play, right? It's very hard to compare those kinds of guys. To be
I
fair,
feel like if he can be a little bit more physical, the way he shut down the players, it remind me a lot of Brett Petchek with the Carolina Hurricane. So
what
Petchek
you
on the
hope
second pairing, right? I don't know he's going to be that level, but that's the kind of player he could be on the both side of the game. So Petchek have some kind of offensive side, can carry the puck, can put the puck in the net, 7, 8 goals per year, 30 point, 25 point, 30 point. This is what he could become his highest ceiling in NHL. On a defensive,
I see him more as, like a Gustav Forsling is would be the, because he's a left hand shot. Gustav Forsling is similar size to him, not huge. He's not going to play super physical, but really
6'2",
smart
by the
stick.
way.
What?
He's 6'2".
Yeah, but he's not big. Like,
No,
he's
no, I
small.
understand what you mean by that. I like your fact you said Forcing. I think Forcing, again, this is another one, guys, like nobody saw, right? Forcing. And look what happened with J.K. Now I'm going maybe another direction, but sometimes some player, Marco, step up at the age. Look, Josh Morrissey, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So sometimes it takes time. My point behind that, I think Angstrom have a really good upside to become a good defenseman in NHL. I agree with you. Can Montreal can offer two players like them because now we did not talk yet about the right side of the defenseman, right? Can Konishkov could become another player that the prototype like Engstrom, and now there will be too many of them, right? But it's good to have an Engstrom and that organization of the pipeline, and you can see that. But he played a solid game with the Laval Rocket. That is a kind of
Yeah,
Line Arsenal, we said that one there. Finish with Logan Mayu, guys, quickly. Listen, he need to be in Laval. Nothing wrong about this. I think running another year with Laval would be good. He can call up back and forth. He's still to improve, guys. Two things. His defensive zone, the decision making for Mayu will be his biggest. But one thing I'm a little bit worried is this happening every year and every time we play with the London Knights, every time. He have the the way Marco sometimes he fall asleep. Like he's not like always 100% on the game all the time. And this is what could be a problem for him to stay in the NHL. This is something you need to become better. That's developed maybe with some, with that. But this is
mental
something I'm
coaching.
a bit concerned about him.
Yeah, you're right. Like, there's, like, obviously we saw that with the icing play, right? But there's
Yeah,
a couple times where, like, so two things with Mayu, he gets lost. He'll get lost in his, like, he'll follow a guy. Like, there was one, I forget who, I think it was against St. Louis, but he, like, followed somebody way high in the zone, and then he corrected himself. Like, he saw it, and he had to skate back, and he barely got in time and covered his guy in front of the net, right? So you can see, like, he's like, and that's why I was saying his attitude is good. Like, I think he wants to get better, right? But what you hope for, coach, is that, again, he lost so much development time with the suspension and all that. So, we just have to be a little bit more patient with him. I think the attitude is there, the physical tools are there. It's similar to Jack right? Like he's got all the tools. Like he can be mean too, right? Like he's not going to scare guys. Like he's not going to fight people as much as Jack but those are two strong kids, right? Like they like you really hope like he's got to work out, right? Like, you need that kind of Montreal doesn't have a lot of big physical guys that can skate like that. So listen, like take your time with him. He's definitely on the right path. And I from what I've seen, I really like his attitude and he seems like he's very dedicated to to putting the time in. And I think he understands. Like, remember Martin Saint Louis when they sent him down? They said we've communicated our plan to Logan very clearly to him, and as long as they're very clear with him about kind of what the plan is for him, then that will be fine. Just keep working the plan with him, and he'll get better.
That's why people talk about the Jekai with Couturier and Zeller, guys. Honestly, why I did not bring that, guys, that would be a subject for about 6 hours to figure out you have a three man or not three man. At the end of the day, guys, it's for me. I see this way. Whatever is the explanation, it's good when you're talking about this, right? It's not for me. It's like it's not matter two referee completely missed the call right there. That's all. Whatever he said, it may be this, it may be not. He could at the end, guys. It's two rookie referee. Really bad call about this. And secondly, Robert asking me if they get fined the referee about the performance. So every game they have a report card for the performance on the ice. Secondly, they don't pay fee for mistake return like that, right? But they go to missing assignment of game, Marco, after that. So maybe they will work for 45 games this year. They maybe say, you know what, we're going to give you a couple less game about that and improve whatever it is. Sometimes they
You know what
send
I'd say though?
referee at
You know what I
the
was
American League too, and then they come back after that.
the only thing I 100% agree, Coach, that like my wife asked me. So sometimes my wife watches the game with me. She knows her hockey pretty good, right?
Did
But
you
there's
call
some
your wife?
Yeah, yeah. She'll watch the game with me, and she's like, "Why is it that the referees don't have to kind of like explain why they make mistakes like that and all that?" And I said the same thing. Listen, they're all evaluated. Like there's like regional referees, and they're all and all that. It would be interesting, Coach, though, if the not the referees themselves, but maybe the like the supervisor of officiating would have to answer questions from the press. I think I don't see why there shouldn't be transparency. I understand maybe you don't want the referees themselves, but maybe you have the referee supervisor have to come in and maybe they don't share the full evaluation of them, but answer some of the questions, right? And
Isn't it
and
the
just
NFL? Like the Monday, they would say there was a bad call number. Like at that moment of the on the NFL, at least the NHL should do the same thing if they want to make the press conference. Say, that event should be that call. That's I don't know how you can. I can give you all the details
yeah,
of
yeah,
that situation, but I think you're absolutely right. I think more accountability of the league should be better now with all the social media happening. I think the fans need some answer at those situations.
100%. I think it would make so much sense.
Bob says Coach White missed it. It was a scrum, not a fighter who can explain the role and not just give an opinion. I want fact. That's not guessing. Now, Bob has not said again. That's my point behind that. It's just said for me, Bob, is because it's a two rookie with not much experience in NHL, and like Macaulay example, right? And they mess up that call. That's it. It's very
Let me
hard to
say,
explain to you what happening, what it should be, whatever it is. It's two blood drop your glove, and honestly, and
but
they
let me
try to
say
start
this.
the fight.
But here's the key thing, Coach. I wasn't going to get into this, but here's my theory. Okay. So, and you can compare the Mike Matheson thing to the exact same thing. If you remember in preseason in their summer, Coach, I don't know if you remember this, but the NHL said that they wanted to very much discourage this whole phenomena of teammates going to start a fight with somebody who does a clean hit on their teammate. Do you remember that this summer? The NHL said they didn't want to see fights anymore when a teammate is defending a teammate that just got a clean hit on him. Okay. This was, they publicly said this in the press that the NHL wanted to reduce the amount of fights when a teammate goes to defend somebody who was a victim of a clean hit, right? And you agree with that on the surface. Now, if you look at both the Matheson situation, where Barron got hit by Truba, right? What did Matheson do? Again, it was a bad call because Truba didn't even like Matheson didn't drop his gloves first. And in this case, same thing. Jackeye went to go defend Doc, who got hit. And by the way, that was a very Doc needs to keep his head up. Like he reminds me very much of Gooley, by the way. Sometimes he's very reckless and like he's got to keep his head up when he's crossing the middle of the ice there because he almost got his head knocked off in that last game, by the way. But do you, coach, do you see the what I'm saying here? In both instances, the referee was reacting to Montreal's player going to defend their teammate on what they would consider a clean hit because it wasn't a penalized hit. Matheson goes to defend Barron, Jackeye goes to defend Doc. So what they did is the NHL told them, we don't want fights like that anymore, just when a player is defending his teammate. So I think what happened in both those cases is the referee has that in their mind and they don't look at the situation. Like, for example, oh, the other guy dropped his gloves first. So they're so focused on this directive that the NHL gave them that they don't want to see those fights anymore, which is why I think because again, how else would you explain these two things happening to Montreal in the span of two games? Both Matheson and Jackeye. That's what the two things was in common. They went to go defend a teammate who just got hit. Right? Do you see that parallel, coach? Do you
Yeah.
remember that this summer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Add trade rumor. Yes or no? That's it. We don't to get past. We have other things to talk about this. But what is you think about a trade rumor? Do you expect Montreal move or not?
Well, I believe that like there's reports out there that Kent Hughes is calling around. I think that's totally normal. So yeah, I think those rumors are true. I think if possible, he would still like to add a right-handed defenseman. Let's not get Patrick Lewhite started on Kovacevic. That boat has sailed. So whether they should have a more experienced right-hand defenseman, we've had that debate over and over and over. But okay, so they're maybe shopping for a right-handed defenseman, and then more recently, I think we heard Elliot Friedman talk about that Montreal is out there looking for a gritty, more aggressive kind of forward for their bottom six or bottom nine, right? So listen, I think both those moves would make sense. It really depends on kind of what the situation is. Like there's countless rumors that you could put out there for sure, but would those two types of pieces make sense for Montreal? It depends. It depends on what you're giving up. It depends what the player is. The one thing that was interesting, though, that Elliot Friedman said is that they're not willing to sacrifice anything in terms of future, and they're not looking for a long term piece here that's going to be a fixture, a core piece of the team here. So it sounds as though they're looking for more kind of like a piece that they can slide in. What does that mean, coach? That they're just not thinking that Pizzetta is effective enough in that role? Like, is he not? And based on it's tough. Like he didn't play the first, I guess, 5 games. I can't say, in previous years when Pizzetta came into the lineup, you could see he was excited to be back in the lineup. He was energetic. He had an impact right away. This season, like I just don't feel he's been as effective. And I think was it against St. Louis or Philly? I can forget which game it was, but he took 2 minor penalties, not ones that were very like he didn't hit a guy or like cross check a guy in the face or something. It was just kind of lazy, push from behind or clutching penalties. So as an energy guy, that's like one of the worst sins that you could commit is if you're on the fourth line, you can't take chintzy penalties. If you're going to take a penalty, if you're going to the penalty box, make sure you're like, getting your money's worth, so to speak, right? If you're going to do that. So I don't know if they're just not impressed or think that Pez is bringing that energy and physicality that they want. Maybe that's one reason. There's obviously the theory too that it's never good to have your enforcer or your guy that's going to be the sheriff to be on your D core because all of a sudden you're down to 5 D men for during a long time in the game. So listen, I think those are interesting It makes sense that those rumors are out there. I believe that he's asking around, but October and early November, it's very, very rare that you see trades, coach, like especially with the salary cap that Montreal has. It's going to be hard. Like they can't just bring in, they can't take a bad contract. It would have to be money in, money out if they're going to get somebody too. So I think could it happen? Maybe, but it's not going to be easy. I would be surprised at this stage.
Awesome, great comments. Montreal Canadiens prospects during the review of the week. Dimitar, Thorpe, Harris, Roy, Doc, Davidson with Laval Rocket. Laval Rocket a perfect weekend. Win both game by the score of 4-3 against Utica. Great performance around Luke Tuck during the weekend. 2 goals, his first 2 goals in American Hockey League of career with 3 points. Joshua Roy, again, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points also. Jared Davidson is under my wild card for the Laval Rocket. This kid, it could be, now, when I said that, not said he's going to be a Gallagher in NHL, but the way he play is the Gallagher style. Does it make sense? Like, he's always on the ice all the time. Like, he's always on the ice, gave 100%. And this is
Better
a
short.
guy, yeah, but if I read about him for a couple of years ago, this is a guy show up at the at the WHL with the Seattle Thunderbird. By the
Yeah.
way, they won the Memorial Cup 2 years ago, right? But when he showed up at 16 years old, he was not drafted before that in on the triple A. He beat everybody. He go at 16 years old. Nobody has expect him to be a part of the team. He make it. He go all the way to 20 years old in WHL. He's been a guy that plays be again the odds, beat the odds all the time. I'm not saying it's going to be a long term career in NHL, but this is a kind of player you like to get and you think when you're going to play off Marco. Can he become
He's a
that
good
kind of
shot.
player? I'm not sure. But this guy bring a lot of energy, spike plug, and the spark in the game. Can he carry this in the NHL? I have no clue, of course. But right now he play a solid game with the Laval Rocket. When they lost Philippe Major, he become that mother again the Utica for Saturday game. He finished with a goal, a +3. So a name to remember, guys. Davidson. We always talk about Roy, Kapanen, Beck, and Age, but don't forget Davidson for me. By the way,
His
Jacky have
shot.
his first goal in a career. What?
Jared Davidson has an NHL level shot too, coach. Like his shot is NHL ready. So his skating is good. Like I agree. Like I like Davidson as a player for sure. Like he's gonna play NHL games. You know, like he's a guy I can see easily playing like 300, 400 games in the NHL. Maybe not with Montreal because maybe they don't have a spot for him, but he's gonna be an NHL player. There's no question.
Yeah, absolutely about that. And then, of course, Demidov. I watched the game again today. On that play, guys, what's his pass? This guy is NHL move. Look his head. Look his fake. He never looked Kuznetsov. By the way, go to see the last play of that one, Marco. Look is right there. Watch this replay. Look, you see him right now. He fake left and right. He set up there, and then look the pass. When he passed, he never looked him, and the pass go tape to tape, Marco. Now that one, he cannot put a puck in the net the last couple of games, honestly. For with the team. On that one, he's going to hit the double post. I don't know if that's the clip right there. You're going to see the replay. So we on that one. So watch him. The next 4 5 seconds, Marco. He's going to be on the breakaway on the 2-1, I believe. And then, but when he shoot the puck, he hit the double post on that one. You can see the post on the right, and then right here, you can see him right.
Oh,
The puck.
oh,
Yep.
jeez, wow.
Yep. So that's happening for the Midov yesterday. Guys, straight of 6 games right now. Played 16-21. This is the highest TOI for him. Again, they won by the score 5-3, 6-3. Good performance again. The chemistry with Kuznetsov and Plonikov is excellent. And now he has 21 points. But it's not about the point for me. It's about what he brings on the ice. It's not NHL. It's KHL. But still, he's fast. Look, he makes some move like this is not that type of level. Like he's another gear for everybody else. The pass yesterday, Marco, to have to be smart. You have to be talented, a skill. At 18 years old to do that kind of pass, and Kisnikov, complete really well with Dimitrov. So I just want to share it with apart. Tyler Thorpe, 2 goal, 1 assist on the weekend. Scored his fifth, sixth goal of the season. Game winning goal, and then he was the first star of the game for the Vancouver Giants. Very great start of the year so far for Thorpe. 6-5. Talk about the wrist shot of Davidson. Pay attention to the wrist shot of Tyler Thorpe. A great shot. And Sam Harris, he is on the 1%, Marco. 6 goal, 6 games.
Coach,
133, unfortunately, is another Shane Farrell. Unfortunately, 133 overall pick, only 5'10". But again, we have to talk about this. This is the second week back to back for Harris to be a star with Demidov with the Montreal pipeline, and a 3 star for the Montreal, for the Laval Rocket, Roy, Doc, and Davidson on that one. So you can, whatever you want to do for the next 2, 3 minutes.
well, coach, I think it was just overall what an amazing week for just the whole pipeline, right? Like just uh, beaucoup pour se mettre sous la dent, comme qu'on dit, right? Comme
Yeah.
you got your Demidov, obviously, like I think you covered it off really nice, but you guys remember Thorpe from the preseason, right? Like I think he was super, super impressive in those couple of games, the rookie tournaments that we had. Like he really, really stood out to me. Like just a big guy, really good skating, and you nailed it with a shot. Really, really impressive. Harris, like the one thing I would say, like I think he's been very impressive and kind of a low key, really strong pick by Montreal. He was like a fourth round pick, coach, I think fifth round pick. He a little different from Farrell because yeah, he's not tall, but he's a bit thicker, I think, than Farrell. Like Farrell, not only is he short, but he's like really, really tiny and not very strong. Harris is a little bit thicker, not a lot. Like he's not Nick Suzuki, but so I have a little bit more faith in what maybe Harris can become. But listen, really strong. Like obviously Roy, is doing what you would expect him to do in Laval. Um, you know, question is when do they bring him up, coach? Like like at some point, like obviously, I don't think have you talked about the whole autograph thing that happened? Like I don't know, I haven't seen much talk about it. But that is a problem, right? Like what happened? Like you saw what happened with him with the missed autograph session. Did you hear about
Yeah,
this?
that's and honestly, the bad guys about this is not what it's not the company. It's really his agent Olivier Fortier.
Yeah,
Comments about that. Whatever he want to
yeah,
defend his customer, whatever it is, for me,
yeah,
just for what. Honestly, I would put him another month. Like if they don't need him, right, or maybe call up one, I would punish him longer, and to to only for one thing, give him a message to say, you know what, this is NHL. This is he take an exception to become an NHL player. You cannot show up, Marco, at the training camp the way he did it, like guarantee or whatever it is. So this is a good red flag you can give to him, like pass a message. It's a bit like you bench a player on the bench, or you bench a player, Marco, or you LT scratch. I think this is the way I see this with Joshua Wentz. And it's only weekend. I think Matt Drake talk about this like he was can understand Condola over Roy. But for me, this is what I believe about Joshua Roy. Let
yeah.
him there, go get you pay the price for what you did not really, and you pay the price with the money at the end of the day you wallet right now. So I think
I
that'll
have
be
no
good.
issue. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I have no issue. Some people were really pissed off that they set him down. I think it was 100% well deserved. I won't be mad if they do that. You know, the only thing, like if they start to struggle to score goals here, they still have you have Newhook and Armia that are still really not doing it. Like right now, that Evans, Gallagher, and Anderson line, is kind of carrying the bottom. Anything but the first line is the only one kind of really producing. So listen, like I get it. You want to send a message, but at the same time, you don't want it to be to the detriment of the big club either. So find the right balance. But I agree. Like send the message and do what's right there. And I think the only guy on here I think that you don't have is Dobesh. Like Dobesh is still looking incredible too, coach. Like Primo better kind of watch those footsteps behind him. Like Primo needs to kind of get his act together too, right? Because obviously they were very concerned about losing him on waivers, but he definitely had a stronger game against Philly. Like I can't say that the like again, Primo always loses shots in traffic. Like that's his biggest weakness is seeing pucks through traffic. So those are the goals that were scored against him again for the most part, or you're always going to see it. It's he almost never gets beat with like low shots up close up front because he's very, very good down low. But it's finding traffics and pucks in traffic that he has problems doing. So I hope the goaltending coach is working with him on that, learning how to track better in traffic, because that's really his weak point. But he needs to watch his back, coach, because Dobesh, Jeff Gordon even mentioned him like in a couple of interviews how that was probably the player that stood out to him. One of the players that stood out to him the most in training camp was Dobesh, and it's hard to argue with him. Like he's playing really solid
And
down
one
there.
thing we don't talk about this and is Connor Hughes, the backup of
Yeah,
the Laval
very
Rocket for Tobel, have a two great performance. Shut out the first game, and yes, and
yeah.
he gave a 3 goal on the 34 shots. So about that, Marco, we have two other subjects, and I want to finish this if you don't mind. I have more, but I think we're going to finish closer. First of all, Marco. Um, Question of the day at the radio, and I want to bring this. I want to hear for everybody here. I think it could be controversial, not like a bad way, but yeah, I think everybody wants different answer, and that's what I'm looking for. So the question,
Yeah.
Marco, is who is the best player for the Montreal Canadiens and the roster 2024-2025? Lane Hudson, Cole Caulfield, Nick Zuski, and Juraj Sakoski.
Well, that's a very subjective thing. Like, how do you define best? Like, most important player to them? Like, who is the most
Who
important
is the
player?
best players or talent wise, skill wise, yeah, he bring on the table for the Montreal game this year?
I'd have to say it's Hudson. Like, the most talented player is Lane Hudson. He's not the most important player. He's not
Okay, so
like
it's
the
going to be the most important players. For
okay. So the
because at
most
the end of the
important,
day, it's the best player for the Montreal Canadiens, right? So the best
okay,
players
best player right
maybe
now is Suzuki. Best player is Suzuki right now. But the most talented player, I think, is Hudson.
okay. So you go with the most talented is Hudson, and the most important player for the Montreal is Nick Suzuki.
Correct.
Curtis Suzuki, Abination Sakoski, Mark Elliott is in the house. Welcome back. Don't forget everybody to click on the likes. Bob Smith, Suzuki knows talent wise, line 8. Yeah, he's not there. At this exact moment, the best player is Cole Caulfield.
Listen, like Caulfield to me has been like obviously he's scoring, but coach, like one thing we haven't talked about is his overall play. Like last year, he definitely you know expanded his game to have like more plays, like be more of a playmaker and get more assists. Right now, he's kind of got the Cy Young Award statistics where it's like I think he's got like 8 goals and like 2 assists only. But again, what I'm seeing is like not only is he playing pretty well defensively, like he's on top of the like he's on the right side of the puck, always kind of over his player, not like cheating and going behind the player and stuff like that. But I've even seen him be physical at times too, right? Like winning more board battles a couple times. Like he's actually separated players from the puck by hitting them. I don't know if you've seen this. Like it's a very underrated part of his game. So listen, I if you ask me who the best, most consistent offensive player has been for the Montreal Canadiens, I would say Caulfield, right? But if the general question is who is Montreal's best player, to me it's Nick Suzuki right now. But again, like a lot of their players are young. You hope that Slavkovsky is going to be right there, and Demidov is going to maybe eclipse all of them. But if you ask me the question right now, Suzuki is the most important player for the Montreal Canadiens. Hudson is the most talented player for the Montreal Canadiens.
6-4 Toronto, empty net for Tavares, hat trick for Tavares, hat trick for Kyle Connors, by the way.
Wow.
Congratulations for those players. Still 2-2. We'll go to another time at the Amelia Arena between Nashville and the Tampa Bay Lightning. For me, I would say
Stamkos.
to you, the most talented player is Lane Hudson, and the most talented is Lane Hudson, right? And I'm going to surprise everybody. The most
You're going to say
skilled is
Matheson.
Lane Hudson, and the most important player for me is Lane Hudson.
I thought you were going to say Matheson. I thought you were going to say Mike Matheson.
No, it was on the list of the four there. I would say to you, for what he bring on the table, Lane Hudson he is the Scarlett, the general or the guy can completely move that team from everywhere and everything is getting better and better and better. We have a star and the Montreal
Huge
Canadiens
star.
is Lane Austin. And I don't know, maybe I'm going to be too far and say, Coach, little bit, I don't like to be me up and down like, the fans, when they win for the Stanley Cup or they make the playoff, and when they lose, this is the worst thing happening, right? I would say a little bit more. I don't want to be that way with Lane Austin, but Lane Austin, for me, is going to be a dominant defenseman in NHL at long term with the Montreal Canadiens. No doubt in my mind. I don't like to set generational players, but I think that he's going to be that kind of player. But Marco, the Carolina Hurricanes score 1-0, and the goal is William Carrier.
There you go. I told you.
We talk
Smart
about
guy.
William Carrier before the show. Someone talk about Matthew Olivier a trade for Jacky, but we talk about find a player like Carrier and Olivier with Montreal Canadiens. So then the subject about this. So that's happening about that question over there. For me, listen, this is Lane Hudson is unbelievable for Montreal Canadiens. We have the clash we're going to skip. We have Juraj Sakaski we're going to skip as a center number 2 on the Montreal Canadiens. Can you
Ooh, I
stop
love that
him?
topic.
I'm sorry again.
I love that topic though, but we'll do that next time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, about that for sure. And then I want to give you maybe if the game Laval Rocket finish early, Marco, like 9 o'clock or 9:30, maybe jumping after that. And to talk, we know the notebook about this for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, because the game is on LDS, by the way. So that's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
thing. We do at the end of the show, the weekly report, we do the the prediction for the Montreal Canadiens. They play 3 games. Seattle, Washington, Pittsburgh. I think, Marco, you nailed it when you said those next game for Montreal Canadiens, the next 4 or 5 game. I think Calgary's coming after that. They have a chance they can get those W for the Montreal Canadiens. So be very interesting what's happening. So there's a time for everybody in the chat. Luc Laperson is in the house tonight. For me, by the way, I'm the one who went 4 point last week for the Montreal Canadiens. So now I have a little bit better choice to pick because Inartab is not there.
There you go. Yeah. So, I my gut here to like Montreal hasn't really had a lot of success against Pittsburgh, right? Like I think they should have I think they had a really good opportunity to beat Pittsburgh last time, but Pittsburgh is just reeling right now. But they might feel a little bit of confidence because it's one of the rare teams that they played well this year. But the only team that makes me nervous on this list is Washington because Washington's been playing really well and they're a big, strong team. It will be a very good test for Montreal to see if they can kind of manage the D zone with a pretty aggressive forward core that's pretty big down there too. Seattle, they come at you with 4 lines. They've been okay. Thing with Seattle is always goaltending, right? So I'm going to say, coach here, they should get at least 4 points. They should get 4 points out of this. So I think they can beat Seattle. I think they can be right there. Oh, that was close. This overtime is hard not to watch. Here comes Kucherov.
Oh,
Oh, Kucherov.
Stamkos missed it, right?
Yeah. Stamkos missed it. Kucherov on a breakaway.
He missed it.
Coach, why don't you do the play-by-play of this overtime while we're live? Just go ahead.
About that one, 3 minutes to go remaining on that one. Marchessault with the puck, Kevin the puck, decide to turn around. The plus coming for the Predators on that one. Stamkos tonight come back at home again. The Tampa Bay Lightning has 2 assists. Now the Canadiens par Carrier. Carrier pass the puck to Marchessault. Shoot the puck. Block shot by the defenseman of the Dependable. And going to recovery. All the way back on defensive side. Marchessault decide to retrieve. Now give the puck back to Novak. Novak carrying the puck in front of the Angel. Carried by the red line. He work back now to Marchessault. Marchessault back at the D. It's coming out by Jose. Roman Jose on the forehand, putting the puck around the net and missed the net completely, but recovered by Marchessault. Marchessault is there for a long time and pass again in front of the net for Jose, but cannot do anything about that. Now, Cirelli recovery puck. That goes to back to Moser. Moser, ex Utah players, play on the power play, right on the overtime. Nick Paul joined on the eyes for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and A just going to recover the puck. Intercept by the Tampa by the Predators. He's going to be back to Philip Forsberg, but lose the puck right away by Nick Paul, and then going to retrieve on the defensive side. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to retrieve and restart with Rand McDonough. McDonough back to Paul. Paul attacking the neutral zones, coming offensive side. Pass by in front of the net, too far for his teammate, but the puck bouncing. Nick Paul tries to recover the puck. Great play by Nick Paul. The last to a position, and Nick Paul complete the score. Unbelievable. Nick Paul, a turnover by the Predators, and the Tampa Bay Lightning win tonight by the score of 3-2.
Really, really nice play by Gensel, feeding that to Nick Paul. What a steal, from the Ottawa Senators. Nick Paul, how important has he been for the Tampa Bay Lightning? Like the Tampa Bay Lightning, other than like it was Jeannot, I guess, like that was like Julien Brisebois doesn't miss very much on getting those like bottom six guys that can come in and play an important role. Nick Paul's been such a nice fit for Tampa. Nice goal there. Gensel, what a nice pickup for Tampa. Very good game. Like still a nice return for Stamkos coach. Still gets 2 assists. Got his moment. But the Tampa Bay Lightning continue to roll here. And Steve Stamkos' replacement, Jake Gensel, with the nice play, sealing the deal for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ouch.
Guanzel got 2 assists tonight.
Coach,
Great.
do you think Julien Brisebois made the right decision?
Yeah. Younger. Get talented, same thing. Senko is a little bit a sniper, but Guanzel bring a lot on the ice too. For that one.
Sometimes you do the reverse Marc Bergevin, and you kind of like Armstrong in St. Louis when he walked away from Peter Angelo. That maybe didn't work out as well, but sometimes you have to walk away from like these players, right? Like it's just better for the team. And good on Julien Brisebois. That was a really risky move to walk away from your franchise captain, and so far it's looking like it's paying off for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I go with 5 points.
5?
Yeah. 2-0-1 for the Montreal Canadiens this week. I think they can beat the Saddle. I think the game Washington will be a little bit difficult for me. So hopefully they can get a tie game. That would be excellent. And then Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh struggling. But Pittsburgh always the time to get there for that one.
Coach, if they don't walk away at least with 3 points, I think that's a huge missed opportunity. They have to walk away at least with 3 points, even 4 points. Like if you really want to be in the mix, and if that's the conversation that you really want to have, these are teams that you have to take points from. So, especially Washington and Pittsburgh, those are teams that you might be fighting for that wild card spot, right? So, ideally, if you're going to lose points, lose it against Seattle and get all the 4 points against Washington and Pittsburgh. That would be Luc Lafortune, 0 points. Come on, mon Luc. Come on.
You talk 2-1 about that. So that's happening for the Montreal Canadiens. It's only week, and then we give us a bit the weekly report of the week. Marco, as a backup, excellent job. You got a star of the week. About this will be interesting with the Montreal. Mark Elliott with 6, but it has to be at least 4. So Marco with 4. Okay, to Mark 4 with Marco about that one over there. And we'll be back tomorrow night for the play-by-play Montreal versus Seattle Kraken. Prediction quickly, the final score.
I'm gonna say 4-2 Montreal. 4-2 Montreal.
The stood out players with 2-point minimum.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Nick Suzuki 2 points. Nick Suzuki 2 points.
That will be a game, a fourth straight game with 2 points, back to back to back to back. I was surprised, everybody. I know Bob said I love Lane Hudson, but this is a tie the game. Lane Hudson, again, a team not physical like Southern Kraken, could be really, really good, I believe. And I think Lane Hudson will get 2 points. I don't know if he's going to score his first goal of his career in NFL. He's getting closer, definitely for him. So it will be interesting what happens. But, oh, and it will be really important Montreal going to one ice. The Southern Kraken, this season, the beginning of the season, up and down. That's score a lot of goals, but you never know what could happen. Of course, Bob go with 4 points. So that's for the show tonight. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. And of course, we want to remind everybody because that's who we are. Here we go, Bob with 4 points. Also, my coach. That's great to see that, everybody. Thanks for all the relay. Everybody be a part of it. Thanks for all the likes. Audrey Calabou show up at the last minute. Thanks for being with us. Audrey, we missed you tonight, but I did a good job. I took your spot tonight. I did read all the update, Marco. It's good to be with people to have a chance to check in and then that's missing a lot of time. So we'll see what happening with about fun tonight. That's Wednesday night for the 3x3 Rocket versus the month with Utica. Looks like Australia was the 101. I was back on this one tonight. The next time, be well, be out, trying to win not only the make your day, but trying to win the make that second half or what? Let's hope.
You're 2-0-2-4 2024, baby. Let's rock it.
He did it again. And Baku, by the way, when we send the time, I don't know.
I think it's next weekend.
All right, I'm tired now. I need to be on the 12 hours right now. At 6 o'clock a.m. when you go out, the night is not a big deal. A lot of it's not something happening in the field. So something wrong with you, Mike.
Yeah, it's a little muffled right now. It's in and out. Like we should wrap it up. Wrap it up.
It's because the music over.
Ah, there you go.
Have a great night, everybody. Paco, great job. See you next time. Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Good night. The Hockey Nation, I sure want to tell you one more thing, sir. And the Am Nation, the Hockey Nation, we love you, friends. Good night, everybody. And that's side the game 1-1. November 3rd. Thanks, Pierre. That's the result. Dodgers lead 4-0. Good night, everybody. Booyah!